Sunday morning, and every decent man and woman is listening to Test Miles with Nick Miles on FM News 101 KXL. Buckle in.
Well, good morning. Welcome to Test Miles Studio. I'm Nick Miles, and this morning we'll take a look at our worst and best drives of 2014. What did we love and what did we hate? Also, the Test Miles team will look at new cars that dealers have in showrooms this year and tell you about the good, the bad, and the ugly. If you've ever seen a movie being made involving cars, a Portland company operates one of those fancy filming trucks, and we'll talk to the team that make the movies and find out what it's like to film cars. And as always, our news quiz will take place this morning. We'll ask the team about the interesting news stories in the automotive media in the last week. So welcome to Sunday morning and welcome to Test Miles. Let's take a moment to introduce the team. We got a 50% show rate this morning. Zhenya, our intern, is here along with Sean. Everybody have a good holiday so far?
Yeah.
I have so far, yeah.
Did you drive anywhere? Zhenya, did you use your gaming systems to go anywhere?
No, because Microsoft was being annoying. I was fiddling with it for a long time.
Microsoft Online got hacked this summer.
Yeah, and everyone was using Xbox Live, so it crashed.
No, it would crash because it got hacked. So you were there for the whole Christmas day with nothing to do?
Yeah.
Oh, that must have been
Other
awful.
than fiddling with my computer.
What about spending time with your family?
I went to my nephew's birthday party the day after. Got him a present.
That's it. That's your holiday season. Sean, what about you?
I drove around because I like to drive.
Did you spent your holiday season driving?
Yes, I did.
I actually went to San Diego for the day after Christmas to drive the new Dodge Charger 392.
Awesome.
I'm just in love with that vehicle.
It's a nice vehicle.
Had a good time down there with friends and old co-workers. That was a lot of fun. And the great thing about the car is to sit it in a parking lot. We went to Imperial Beach, and we sat the car on the beach. Beautiful weather, people playing volleyball in the ocean. Sat the new Dodge Charger 392 on the beach in the parking lot, and then just sat in the cafe and kept starting it. And all these families would be walking by with all their kids, and you'd hit the button, the double click, and it would go, and everyone would go, whoa, what's that? They'd go over and have a look at the car.
I did that a lot when I was driving the R8, because the back engine lights up, and so at nighttime people would walk by, or they're staring at it because it's a supercar, and I'd hit the lights so the engine compartment would turn on the lights, and they just, what's going on? It's fun to mess with people like that.
It's fun to watch them get so excited.
I was watching a TV show on the first SRT8 Challenger where it had keyless go. So what someone did was they took a Challenger and parked it in the middle of the road without the owner noticing. So everyone would just be driving around and just see a Challenger sitting in the middle of the road because the car had no idea there was no key.
Now they have those safety systems on them, so you can't actually drive away unless the key is inside the car. But the original ones didn't have that much going on. All right, so what are those best and worst cars of the last year? Well, I've picked out, I started with a list of every car that I've driven over the last year, and I managed to pare it down to just maybe about 10 cars. It was really hard to talk about the best cars of the year. But I think my best car of 2014 was the BMW i8. Clearly a big move for BMW, giant step forward in new cars. It's a hybrid, plug-in hybrid version of the car with a mini-style engine in the back, which is just 3 cylinders. Also, other vehicles was the Ram 1500 EcoDiesel, outstanding truck, the new Chevy Colorado. Love the shape, the size, and the amenities in that vehicle. The most spirited drive, I would say, was the new Alfa Romeo 4C. Very light, very fast sports car. BMW had the 4 Series Grand Coupe in there. I've always been looking for something the size of a 3 Series that I liked. And when the Grand Coupe came around, it was definitely the car that I've been waiting for in that size from BMW. Needless to say, the Dodge Challenger and the Charger both on the list. The Hyundai Genesis on the list as well. Can't miss the Jaguar F-Type Coupe and the Lexus RCF. Some of the best cars. I have to say, my worst cars of the year that I felt just did not hit the mark. There's only 2. and they are the Cadillac ATS Coupe. Just felt it didn't have what the Cadillac brand has been touting. It kind of fell short. And the other one that really fell short, it's the right size, it's the right price, but it doesn't have much of a spirit, is the Chevy Trax.
Well, the Cadillac, I mean, it's on my list too. And the reason why, it's like, it's a fun drive, but in city and everything, the seats are hard and it's just uncomfortable to be in. But if you actually get some windy roads, it's a great car, but that's the only time that car is good for.
It's hard to for these cars to fall short. They don't fall short. Many of them, bad cars are very few and far between. But the worst drives for me were the ATS Coupe and the Chevrolet Trax. I just think that there's so much possibility there, and they just seem kind of empty. Sean, what were your best and worst cars of 2014?
My favorite cars were the Chrysler 200. I love what they're doing with that car, and I love what they give for such a little car. The Hyundai Genesis, obviously, it just, for the price, you get almost every feature out there, and it's probably one of the best and great drives you can ever get into. I love the Eco Diesel as well, because
the
Ram Eco Diesel, just because for the fact of having a full-size truck, you're getting 28 miles on the highway, and my average was around 24 combined city, and it's just a nice ride. It's comfortable, everything. Kia 900, I love how...
The K900, right?
K900, sorry, I didn't say K. But I love that car. It's just for the price, once again, you're competing with high-end luxury vehicles, and you're saving around $20,000. And then I didn't get to drive it, but I'm just going to say it's one of my cars, is the Chevy Z06, just because for what you're going to get for $86,000, that car is going to kill almost every supercar out there. Worst car, for my opinion, was the 2015 Lexus LX 570. And it's a car I think they threw out there because they have a full-size vehicle, and they shouldn't have. The inside's not as great. I mean, it's just kind of all afterthought. It's one of the worst fuel economy cars I've ever been in this year, because my average was 12 miles to the gallon in that car. And with Lexus and Toyota being a very green family car, getting 12 miles is not, it shouldn't even be okay for them.
And we should explain that the vehicle you're talking about, the 570, the LX, is a full-size SUV.
It is a full-size.
Built on a truck platform.
It is built on a truck platform, but you still get full-size vehicles getting better, like the Tahoe, the Escalade, and I think the vehicles that it goes up against, like Range Rover and the Escalade, it blows them out of the water for the same price. It's like paying $86,000 for that car is insane.
Yeah, I think it starts at 89, and the test fleet model was 91 for the Lexus.
But it's just for 90,000. If I bought that vehicle at 90,000, I'd seriously feel like I got robbed. So that's why it's on my list.
All right. Well, it's very hard to ask a 13-year-old intern what his favorite and worst cars of the year is, because he doesn't have a legal driver's license. But you have a list anyway, Jenya.
Yes, I do. Now, I've only been in so many of the cars of this year, and those cars have been all the full-size SUVs from GM and the Chevy and the Dodge Charger, and those two cars are just amazing. I love the Yukon that you had back in April. That I was just amazed by that vehicle. I loved the seats. I loved all the controls. I loved how the knobs were big and it just was so classy. I love that car, and I love the OnStar feature where you could just press the button and ask the woman on the reception where you would like to go, and she would put it on your map.
That's one of the great features of OnStar, and a lot of people overlook that. In fact, I think it's one of the best features that General Motors has. And for OnStar, all you have to do is press the button in OnStar, and you get connected to somebody. And a lot of car companies have this feature now, where they will do pretty much anything for you, including OnStar send navigation information to your head unit, and it's right there. You just press the go button, basically. So You love that. What are your best cars and your worst car of the year, then?
My best cars are the Mustang and the F-150.
You're a Ford boy, is that what you're telling me?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
And this is from sitting in them in the auto show.
Well, looking at them in the auto show and seeing all the pictures, because I like those two cars because Ford took a big step with the F-150, and they've done that all the time. Last redesign, they put the EcoBoost in, and that made a really big hit. And I believe the aluminum body is going to make a big hit as well.
Right.
And then they put the independent rear suspension in the Mustang, and I just know that's going to be a real big hit too. And I saw a maxed out GT performance pack only the other day.
So let me ask you this. With gas prices down to even below $2 a gallon in California, you think that the all-aluminum body is going to suffer?
Yes, I heard some reports on this. They said the F-150 sales would drop because of this, and I saw a dealer who, because of the low prices, wanted to go out and just buy a big Hummer H2.
But the problem being is we all know gas is going to go back up.
Sure. It's just a short foresight, unfortunately.
It is.
So everyone's taking advantage of it.
But still, it's like, why would you go out and buy something? I mean, even still, I'd rather pay, $40 and have that tank of gas last me for a week or two.
It's opportunity. Everyone has the opportunity to buy a big vehicle now, and they just want to take it.
All right, tell me what your worst car of the year is.
I'm going to agree with you on the Chevy Trax because these compact CUVs are just all lifted hatchbacks. The Audi Q3 is a lifted A3. The Mercedes GLA is basically a lifted A-Class. All these cars are just SUVs with plastic on the bottom, and they're raised about 5 inches. And I like the idea. It just...
You don't think they have substance?
Yeah. And it works for people who want to drive around, who want to feel like they have a big SUV, but don't.
Right.
It's trying to be a car that it isn't.
Except here's the downside of this. We've got to take a break, but except you will find that these will outsell a lot of the smaller cars. The sales numbers will go up 300% in the next year, and everybody wants their car higher and slightly more room on the inside. So I think small compact SUVs and CUVs are definitely going to be a huge part of sales in 2015.
Because these are going to be like the most economical SUVs on sale.
Absolutely.
So,
you're absolutely right, and they will be, but they will be a huge hit as well. All right, coming up at Test Miles, we're going to take a look at what cars hit dealerships for 2014, and we'll go through the list of the new vehicles that arrived and look forward to 2015 with the Detroit Auto Show coming up in mid-January. There's going to be lots more cars revealed. This is Test Miles. I'm Nick Miles.
Test Miles, like NASCAR, but with one right turn. TestMiles.com.
Welcome back to Test Miles. Has your driveway been good to you this year? The Portland Auto Show is offering tickets to the show February 5th through the 8th, and you can use those as an after-Christmas gift. Just go to portlandautoshow.com to get your tickets to the show, just $10 right now. Here's a fun fact you can impress your friends with. The Peanuts characters were first animated in 1957 for a Ford Fairlane automobile commercial. Now, 2014 has been a bumper year for car sales. At the end of the year, we're expecting car sales to be somewhere in the region of 16.5 million vehicles. As we all know, sales are driven by new product, and this year has been no exception, with large numbers of vehicles hitting showrooms. So what are some of the new key vehicles that have been released? There is a lot of them. I have a page and a half of these vehicles. Acura came out with their new TLX, which was a combination of the TL and the TSX. They put those two together and kind of went with one version of the vehicle. One of the vehicles that we were most excited about, Sean, you got to drive this at Run to the Sun this year, was the Alfa Romeo 4C.
Yeah, I like the Alfa. I mean, for what it is, it's crude because there's no power steering or anything, but it's a fun car.
It's light.
And
the engine's not that big, but when you look to weight to engine ratio, it starts to be a great drive. And let me tell you, I'm all about the head looks. You cannot go anywhere in that car without getting a ton of people looking at you.
It's a great car for what it is.
Audi had a new Q3, and BMW had a lot of new cars this year, including the 4 Series Grand Coupe, which we've talked about. It was on my list of the best cars, but they had a new 3M and an M3 and an M4.
And the X5 and X6M.
Right, and they actually were introduced at the auto show, but they're not new this year. They'll be new next year. The M4 convertible and the X4 as well from BMW. Now, what about Cadillac? They had sort of both ends of the scale. They had the ATS Coupe and then they had the Escalade. Think there's still room for vehicles the size of the Escalade?
Yeah, there is, because obviously, people are buying big size vehicles. We even just talked about it with fuel going down. People want that big size SUV. People rather have that than a minivan.
Chevy had the Colorado, the Suburban, the Tahoe, and the Trax. So again,
and the Canyon.
And yes, the Canyon they did as well, the truck. So that's kind of an interesting. I guess the Canyon is a GMC, not a Chevy.
Yeah.
So that's not a Chevy, it's a GMC. Chrysler, the new 200, new 300 this year. The 200 sort of happened at the very beginning of the year. Big car, Sean, on your list. The new 300, they've done a really good job with that as well, especially adding a new trim level and all the extras you get for the vehicle, and the drive is so much more. The car was great in 2005.
Yeah, I'm excited to get into that vehicle because I've always loved the 300. I love the styling of it. I love how and especially how they went back to that baby Bentley look, because I thought that was the best looking 300 ever.
Right, and now they've combined everything from the 2011 with that look of the 2005 and really come up with a tremendous vehicle. The cars that really sung loudly this year in the horsepower division were the Challenger and Charger. I think everybody in this room loves those vehicles in some form or other. We have our favorite different forms, but the Hellcats in both categories, 707 horsepower.
Well, I'm just an old school muscle car guy, and I love the fact that there's 707 horsepower. I mean, when I drove it, I was a little intimidated going around some corners because I just didn't want to be the guy to wrap one around a tree, but I would love to take that thing on a track.
Ford had the Expedition, the F-150, the Mustang. GMC had the Canyon and the Yukon. And Honda had a couple of new cars, the Fit, which seems to be doing really well for them, and the new CR-V. You went to the launch of that, Sean.
Yeah, the CR-V is really nice. I mean, they say it's all new, but I mean, it still looks the same. But the interior and some of the safety features they put on it are just unbelievable.
It won Motor Trend's Truck of the Year this year as well, which is kind of interesting. The Hyundai Genesis and Sonata, we talked about how great the Genesis was, the Jaguar F-Type Coupe, the K900. Kia also had their new Sedona minivan that did really well. There was new Lexus, Lincoln, Mercedes, a new Mini four-door, the new Murano, lots from Subaru. Toyota had the Camry, Sienna, and Golf had their new, VW had the new Golf along with Volvo's V60. That's just a caption of what was on the list of new cars this year. Coming up, we'll find out about the company that helps make some of the best movies in town with their camera cars. Elite Camera Car, the team's going to be here. We'll talk more about that when Test Miles returns. I'm Nick Miles.
Favorite us, tweet us, friend us, love us, all at testmiles.com.
Sunday morning, and this is Test Miles, Portland's automotive radio show. Do you know someone that needs their car serviced but can't afford it? Well, Certified Automotive Repair in Salem is doing a family service day. If you can't afford to get your car serviced or know someone that can't, please give them a call or go to their website at carsalem.com. On January 17th, they will be servicing a number of cars for free and doing inspections on them. And to get on the list, you have to get on the list. You need to call them. Go to carsalem.com. Here's a fun fact you can impress your friends with. During his or her lifetime, an American motorist will have lost 2 weeks waiting at red traffic lights. That's time you'll never get back. Now, have you ever seen a movie being made that involves cars, trucks, or SUVs, or even motorcycles? There's a whole army of experts that specialize in filming vehicles. In Portland, we're lucky enough to have a highly experienced, skilled company who use camera cars to film vehicles. They're called Elite Camera Cars. And in studio is Mark Hailston, along with his son, Lauren, who I guess work in the filming industry, slightly in different ways. Mark, you're the lead driver and probably the chief bottle washer, I like to call everybody in the industry, at Elite Camera Cars. So Explain to me a little bit, Mark, about what happens at Elite Camera Cars. What do you actually do?
Oh, great to be here, and good morning. So, yeah, I'm in the cars and a lot of times underneath the cars. And if I could just break real quick and just say congratulations on your first year, and thank you very much for bringing a real automotive show to Portland.
Thank you. Thank you. Very proud.
So the brief is an insert car and or camera car is the device that we use to suspend, hold cameras and crew while either shooting at other cars or shooting background plates for green screen. We also have cranes, tow dollies, and what's called a process trailer, which is a 29-foot trailer that a car goes onto, and the entire crew is there as well. It's basically all around safety. And what we do is handle the movement of the cameras and the cars and the actors and keep them safe while the crew does their job.
Now, so yesterday, perfect example, I was watching Frasier on one of the digital channels, reruns of that, and they did a car scene. Now, so in that car scene, the car would have been sitting on a dolly, and you guys would have been on the outside in a show like that?
Yeah, there'd be three ways to do it. The first would be car to car, where they free drive, and we shoot at them from the camera car or insert car. The second would be that they're on the process trailer. Again, the entire car and the entire crew are up on this trailer. And then the third would be that the car is actually attached to the insert car via a tow dolly, and they're just right behind us. So we're trying to keep the actors involved in doing their lines and their performance and not worrying about driving. And obviously that would be another safety huge.
Crashing into things and that sort of stuff.
Exactly.
All right, so now this is the part of the show where we get some name dropping in. Tell us some of the things that you've worked on.
Pretty easy to do that. I think it's every car company with the exception of Bentley, Ferrari, and Rolls-Royce. This year we did Mercedes, we've done Chevrolet, we've done Ford. It's not unusual that we'll go out with not only film cameras, but still cameras. And we haven't really seen film cameras very often. Everything's kind of gone to digital. We use the Arri Alexa often. And so it pretty much anything that you can think of.
So that's for commercials, right?
That would be for commercials and for film and for, well, we call it film, and for recording for like Grimm is one of our big clients.
All right. So you do a lot of the car scenes in Grimm. What does that involve?
We pretty much do everything for Grimm. Their favorite is our 25-foot modular crane. On the end of that is a 2-axis head with one of our Arri Alexas, and then the engineer lens is probably about close to $250,000 hanging off the end of it. Anytime you see a large opening shot or establishing shot where it's swinging in and you're wondering how is that camera flying, it's on the end of that crane.
So I can look in almost any Grimm episode and I'll probably see some of your work.
You would. Anytime that they're in the car or anytime that the cars are shooting car to car, usually the actors are not driving when it's free drive, but when they are attached or tethered via the dolly or the process trailer, then they are being driven.
Now, the apple did not fall very far from the tree, did it? Because your son somehow ended up in this similar industry to you. Lauren, you do some freelance driving, but you're also a bit of a drifter, aren't you?
Yes, I film some drifting series, and I also like to dabble a little bit with my own drift car.
And so drifting, you were telling me off the air, is very different from what your dad does, because your dad is right up close and personal with the vehicles, where you might lose body parts if you do that.
Yes, I would say they're used to a lot more process and setting up things. While on the drifting circuit, we have a very small amount of time to set up cameras, and we're also not allowed to, chase a drift car on the track. So we have to attach cameras to roll cages. We have huge suction mounts that attach to the hoods, the windows, everything like that to keep the cameras stuck on the side of the car.
Now, let's get this out of the way right now. I've heard through the grapevine that your stuff is super popular, and you have a lot of followers. If somebody wants to go and look at your work, where would they do it?
I mainly just post most of my things on a YouTube channel. It's Lauren in HD. And so that's mostly what I do is a lot of drifting stuff, automotive stuff.
Sean, could you post that on our Facebook so people can find it, the Test Miles page?
Already done.
Excellent. And let's ask you, Mark, where we would see some of your stuff. You have your own website for Elite Camera Car, don't you?
Yeah, the website basically just explains the cars, talks about specifications, gives people an idea of some of the rigs that we've done. There's probably 250 pictures of different types of ways we've suspended cameras. Not really a public site, but we welcome anybody to come take a look. It's more or less for the DP, the director of photography, ADs, production, directors, so they can see, well, that's what we want. We want the camera out on the side of the car, or we want the camera behind the car. So they'll make those decisions on the day. and then we put it together for them. We're extremely quick. We have gotten some great compliments from production and the fact that it seems like an expensive process, and we've made it affordable for groups like NBC and Grimm and Chevrolet and Mercedes and other car lines. When they come in, they're in a big hurry to get production done, and it's going to get real expensive. They don't want to wait on us.
Right.
I'm so jealous of you guys because, one, it's like me and Nick do car videos, and usually for our car-to-car, I have to be strapped on top of a Range Rover or something that's not technically unsafe, but or safe. But
yeah, I mean, our stuff is very different in the sense that you're always looking at quality of pictures, and we're like morning news, so it's bah, 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 and we're gonna get like all this footage done in a day. I'm excited too because I want to do a news piece on you definitely for the Fox stations that we cover our stuff in. Let's talk a little bit about, and I don't want you to shame them and name them, but you've obviously worked with a lot of actors. Are some actors better than others when they have to do the actual driving bit with car to car? Or do some guys, how do you keep them on? Do you have like maybe a little shock with cattle prod? You say that so they don't get off the road, keep zapping them?
Well, first of all, we always communicate with them very calmly because they're not in control anymore. And some people get upset about that or maybe feel uncomfortable. We'll walk up and I'll normally say, this is what's going to happen. We're going to, pull you down the road in this car. We're going to go 22 miles an hour. You're probably not going to be able to see. You're going to pantomime your turns and things and concentrate on your performance. That's what we're there for. It's rare that we would have an actor drive freestyle, but they do it, and that's the scariest part because normally anytime we have a car-to-car, for instance, on the Mercedes spot, we had a brand new CLK. And so we're running down the road, and we have a precision driver, and we can trust that he knows what to do. If something is, we have a mayday, he knows where to get out. He knows how close to be to us, and sometimes it's very close. Sometimes it's within 3 feet. So if we're going 40 miles an hour down the freeway and we have a guy 3 feet from us and something happens, he knows how to get away.
Right. I've watched, I actually worked on a couple of movies before, one which we had on the Hawthorne Bridge, and the coordination with the camera car as everybody drives onto the bridge. I mean, these guys are inches apart, and they're driving up on curbs at speeds of 30, 40 miles an hour, and nobody can afford to make a mistake, right? And you have to make sure that's all in place before you even get the cameras rolling.
Yeah, and the trust is but how we survive. For instance, our good friend Dominic Cicero is a great precision driver, local guy here, GT4 driver, has some Indy experience. I know that he knows. Lauren and I have formal training with Bondurant down in Arizona, so we both are, have taken cars to the edge. Most people don't get a chance to do that. They'll drive their car and never really know how far out can you get before the car is going to come undone. So once you kind of practice that and you get a feel for it, it gives you a little bit more depth as far as, how close can I get? How much can I push the envelope without getting in trouble?
Do you guys enjoy working together when you work together? Because I know if I had to work with my dad, I'd probably end up shouting at him by the end of the day.
Yeah,
it's just a family thing, right?
I have before. I have a short fuse sometimes, and we've gotten into some disagreements, I think. But at the end of the day, we're still family.
And you still work together, and you know the purpose of this is to get through the day and be able to do it again tomorrow, right?
I think as I've grown older, I've learned to be more patient with things like that, and I think that's probably a good trait as a aspiring DP, that kind of thing. Now,
if there is, let's just say, something that goes south during these, what happens to that footage? Do you guys keep it in a secret vault that only to be shown in 20 years' time, or do you just take a match to it and burn it?
Well, I guess you'd have to define South. We've been very fortunate in the history of Elite, and I started with specialty camera cars back in the mid-'90s, and I have been accident-free the entire time. We've had some small things happen, but nothing to where anybody's ever been injured, and we carry a ton of insurance with that for liability, and we just hope to never use it.
And when I mean go south, I mean things end up with, that dent's not supposed to be in the front of the car, those type of things, and I'm sure that happens more often or maybe it doesn't happen more often. You think these guys are so good.
Well, again, we've been extremely lucky. There's been more damage done by when the cars are being rigged by crews where the guys will have tool belts on, and it's not really their fault. They're in a hurry, and they get pressed hard, and they'll scratch the paint once in a while. But again, we've been super fortunate in the fact that we've never had any sort of major accident. I've heard about things, but again, we come out prepared to be safe.
Excellent. All right, guys, we know where to find you. Tell me, what are you working on right now? Can you tell me any of the projects you're working on right now? Not the super secret stuff, but the not so super secret stuff.
Well, we actually have a pilot in the mix, and we'll talk about that later. But Grimm is our biggest meal ticket right now. They love the crane, they love the process trailer. They really like the insert cars. Our partners, the Lawson brothers, Bruce, Brent, and Brian. Bruce is the key grip on the show, and he normally helps as far as getting some of the shots designed. So, of course, he's a little biased, and he'll want to throw a crane shot in there, or he'll want to throw a car to car, and that benefits us. But we are a local company, and by the way, 90% of the people on Grimm are Portlanders. So if people see us out and about, it's not a bunch of LA folks. We have a few.
I love
this.
that.
This is all homegrown.
I love that.
And it's basically the shining star for Portland.
I love that. Lauren, what are you working on right now?
We just shot a little pilot up in Seattle at a rally school, actually, and we were doing all kinds of stuff. We had guys strapped into the back of SUVs while rally cars were chasing them. We were flying drones over the cars, all kinds of things, all the quadcopters with cameras and stuff on them.
Everybody listening right now wants to be you guys for a day.
It's
I can
job.
feel it. I can feel it. Guys, that's awesome. Thank you so much for coming in. We're going to take a quick break. Hang out for the last segment. We're going to do our quiz, and I may have a couple more questions for you. Mark, Lauren from Elite Camera Car. The guys have a website. You heard it. And go to our Facebook page at Test Miles and find out more about them and links to their website. We'll be right back in a moment.
Test Miles, like NASCAR, but with one right turn. TestMiles.com.
We'd like to keep you informed all week long, so try following us on the Twitter edge. It's Test Miles, or at testmiles.com. Here's a fun fact you can impress your friends with. Most American car horns are tuned to the key of F. So I want you to take your cell phone outside with your guitar tuner and just see what your car horn is tuned at. It is the part of the show where we talk about how much the in-studio team know about what's been going on in the automotive industry over the week. So, Zhenya and Sean, I have a few questions for you in our week's news quiz. Who announced they will be making a 473 horsepower rally car in 2015? Sean,
it's very quiet.
Quiet.
Lancer's going to come out with the last Evo X, and they're planning on making it a special edition, 473 horsepower, which would be awesome because I think that is one of the best handling cars ever made.
The Mitsubishi Lancer, that's correct. All right, next question. According to the Business Insider, gearhead should be terrified of what car? Zhenya.
So Google, a while ago, made the anonymous car, and
The
now
autonomous car.
the autonomous car. And finally, they made a production version where it looks like they added massive semi-truck mirrors and production wheels and some headlamps and a cover for that little spinny thing on the top.
That's right. Business Insider said gearhead should be terrified of that car. Which car saved Subaru from having a bad Christmas in Japan? Sean.
That would be the WRX STI. Sales were down in Japan because of a tax hike up there. But for some reason in Christmas, they came out and had a record sale in Japan.
Right, it saved them from having a negative year. What is about to happen to the Chevy Volt? Oh, that's Sean again, right?
Sorry. They're planning on making it a crossover. They're calling it the Cross Volt. I mean, I don't know about it. It looks weird, but it could be a big hit because I know people love the Volt because of the fact that it doesn't give you the range anxiety. You can drive 50 miles and still have a small little engine to get around.
Yeah, absolutely. The Chevy Volt is going to be a crossover for next year. Who used the game Gran Turismo 6 to unveil a new concept car? Zhenya.
Mazda created the LM55 Gran Turismo Le Mans car for Gran Turismo 6.
Will it be built?
I don't know. It might be built,
It might be built.
considering it's following up their old Le Mans car.
All right. All right, we're running out of time rapidly. I want to thank Lauren and Mark for being here from Elite Camera Car. Go to our website, testmiles.com, or go to our Facebook page, and you can find out more about those guys and what they've been doing and follow them, especially Lauren's stuff on Facebook. And follow him on YouTube. You can see all of his videos. We will be back with our first show of 2015 next Sunday. It's been a whole year. I want to thank you for supporting us throughout the year and increasing our listenership by 400%. And we'll be back for 2015 from the whole Test Miles kit, whole gear, the whole team, and all the people behind the scenes. Happy New Year, and let's look forward to 2015. I'm Nick Miles.
Throw it in neutral and coast in with testmiles.com.